Hey everyone, how's it going? I hope you're all doing great, as I always say, following the 3 H's of the channel and all that good stuff. And in this video, I have crawlers in Ecuador, coyote tricksters, a 6-legged cryptid, and more. If this sounds like something you're interested in, definitely pull up a stump with me, and let's jump into it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. So this isn't really super spooky or anything, but if anyone knows what happened or what this was, then ideas would be appreciated. So when I was a teenager, I used to go walking on this trail, and this trail would connect to the road that I live on, and then that would connect to a bigger road, but that's besides the point. Anyways, it's dark outside when this happened. I'm about halfway down the trail, so I can't see my road, but I can't see where I came from either. And this is one of those trails that is common for biking and stuff, so it has a few lights around. But as I'm walking down this trail into one of the darker parts where there's very little lighting, I hear this weird noise. It sounds like a shrill giggling, and then the sounds of something moving through the bush at high speeds. I didn't know what this was. I froze for a moment. My eyes darted around trying to figure out what the hell this noise was, but I couldn't come up with anything. Until I turned around, and I see this figure standing there. It's standing near the far lamppost that's about 100 feet away or so, and immediately I noticed that something's wrong with it. The proportions and the age of the face is all wrong. The best description is like a gnome without the beard, and it has something on its head that I couldn't make out if it was like some kind of fabric or if it was hair. And it was still very dark, but since it was standing near this far lamppost, it was illuminated enough that I could tell that this was not a small person or a child. It looked very old, very wretched. And then, as I turned around to walk, I heard the giggling again. I looked behind me, and this thing has cleared about 40 feet. In the couple of seconds that I've turned my head. By this point, I turn around and start running, and I can hear it coming after me, quickly gaining on me. And then as soon as I feel like it's breathing down my neck, that I'm about to turn around and see its horrible face, it's gone. It's not there. There's nothing there. No trace. After this, I just ran the rest of the way home, and I'm pretty sure I didn't sleep for that entire weekend. I think at some point I passed it off as just a random occurrence or maybe a dream or something, but I know what happened, and I've never seen it before on that trail or after. I've never seen anything on that trail that even closely resembles it, so if anyone has any idea, feel free. So I worked on an oil rig in New Mexico, and I had something weird happen one night. I heard rapping at the door of my trailer. I got up and opened the door, and there was just a coyote, just laying there, looking at me like a dog might, but I could swear its eyes looked human, almost. I shooed it away, and it ran off. The next morning, I go to work. A hose that runs up the derrick breaks. This is quite uncommon. A 4-inch hammer union comes down and hits one of the guys that works there in the head. He dies instantly. We shut the whole rig down. They're going to do a safety investigation. I was sitting with the boys in front of the trailer. We are shocked, flabbergasted. We look over when we hear something, and there's the same coyote with the same human-like eyes. It almost yips like a laugh. It does this in our direction and then trots away. I learned later on that the Native Americans in this area say that some coyotes are tricksters, and some of them are not animals at all. I was shot in the chest once. War sucks if you didn't know. The bullet bounced around my rib cage and screwed up both of my lungs really bad. I went down on my knees once I was shot, and I knew that I was pretty effed up because I literally couldn't take a breath. The bullet basically KO'd my diaphragm at the same time. I tried to stay upright, but I was getting that tunnel vision effect. It was like a bright light, but it really was just like the brightness and contrast for everything was just slowly cranking up. Then, it started going black as the tunnel narrowed. I started to fall backwards. I kept waiting to hit the ground on my back, or hit my head on the ground, but it never happened. Instead, I just kept falling backwards. It's like I was falling through this black void. Then, even the darkness faded away, and all I was left with was this absolute sense of complete peace and serenity. It was just the best feeling I've ever felt in my entire life. Just absolute peace and bliss. It was incredible. I thought to myself, man, if this is death, this isn't too bad. I could literally live with this feeling for all eternity and be totally cool with it. It felt like a couple seconds had passed. Then, I was on my back, staring up at my buddy's helmet, and there was sand everywhere. I tried to speak, but they had already put that pumpy breathing tube down my throat, so I couldn't. Nowadays, I'm fine, but for a while, PTSD was terrible, and I tried to off myself in my closet once, but I only made it to the black falling feeling because the support bar snapped. I realized that I'll get back to that place eventually. I don't have to rush there. I've been doing better since, and I'm no longer really all that afraid of what comes after. It seems like a nice place. My wife stabbed me in the throat during a bout with mental illness, and I blacked out. I woke up on a beach. The water was deep, violet, and the sand was gray and felt soft on my face. A young woman with brown hair, green eyes, and a white sundress was there. She helped me to my feet. She spoke to me through these bizarre, foreign sensations. I knew what she was saying, but she didn't open her mouth, or use any words for that matter. She fed me an apple and sat with me in the sand. I was overcome with the feeling of me being exactly where I was supposed to be. I wanted to stay. The woman told me that she would wait for me, and that when I came back, we had some beautiful work to do, but I have to wait, and not to rush it. She walked into the sea, and I woke up on a hospital bed. When I was 27, I was on Suboxone due to Oxycontin. I was in a relationship with a girl who was an alcoholic, a severe one at that. I had crippling depression, and chronic pain all over my body. The girl was always drunk, like I said, and was physically abusive. I felt like there was no way out, so I decided to off myself with a massive drug overdose of 4 different meds and alcohol, pretty much enough to kill 3 normal people. I wandered into a back alley to go into full cardiac arrest, and it was amazing. All the stuff was gone. I rejoined the rest of the non-living matter in the universe. It was warm and peaceful, and I wasn't bad. But then I come to with a tube down my throat. The doctor said that I had achieved what he called maximum coma. I continued on with my life after this, without depression. I had knowledge, I felt, that everything would be okay in the end. I had basically come so close to death that I could see that there is something beyond. It felt like that our names, our faces, and our memories may die with us, but we are not from here. We come from another place, a better place, or energy, I guess is a better word, which we return to in death. Your actions and intentions in life do matter, and I've learned that there's no reason to rush to this end. We're all going to get there when it's our time. This happened in 2012. I was traveling with my husband. We were driving to this little town in our country of Ecuador. We were traveling at night, so the roads can get pretty winding, very easy to get lost on, and there's very few signs as well. And unfortunately, we do get lost. After a while of driving down straight stretches of road and random turnoffs, I say to my husband, "We must be lost." He gets angry and says, "No shit." Now, we drive for a little bit longer, and I can't hold my bladder anymore. I ask him to pull over. My husband stays in the car while I go off a little bit off the road so a girl can have some privacy. And as I'm doing my business, I hear a screech, like a really loud, blood-curdling scream. I freeze for a second, and I see something in the distance. It starts off as just a shape, a silhouette, but as it comes closer, it comes into view. This thing had to have been huge. I'm taller for a girl, 5'8", and this thing had to be over 7 feet tall. It was incredibly thin, totally furless, and it had these massive bloody claws instead of fingers, and it looked like that it was bleeding. It looked like it was in pain. I didn't know what to do, so I turned and ran toward the car. As soon as I get into the car, I tell my husband what I saw. He doesn't believe me, but the thing was right behind me. It slams into the side of the car and, almost human-like, is trying to open the door of the car. Luckily, it was locked. My husband drives off. We nope out of there. There are no other cars on this stretch of road. It chases us for what feels like forever, but it might have been only a few minutes. We eventually lose it. We're lucky. We keep driving for like an hour. It's like we had a delayed reaction. After we lost it, we began to panic and freak out. Eventually, we got to this store that was on the highway. While we're inside the store, the woman sees our faces and asks us if we, quote, saw it. She said that there is a demon that lives in the forest, and that there was some cult that summoned it there. I don't know anything about these type of things. And by this point, she started to speak in a dialect of Spanish that I didn't understand. My husband picked up some of it, but he said that it was mostly just stuff about satanic cults. I don't know if whatever it was is a demon or not, but I've come to know these type of things. They're called crawlers, or at least that's the name for them these days. But back then, after we heard her story, we just headed for the city, and we tried not to take that way when we were going back. So I have a friend who is from the not so good part of the city. He was raised in a very underfunded, very crime-ridden neighborhood and school, and his parents were hard asses to say the least. He's done some pretty crazy stuff, and he can get pretty crazy too, but he's learned to be pretty normal on a daily basis. Every now and then he'll dial it up, like at a party or something. But I find out that he likes camping. I also like camping. So I help him get geared up. For some reason, he's super ecstatic for this, even though he usually hates bugs and nature, but he's really raring to go. So, have you ever known someone to be so excited about something that it kind of weirds you out how much they're excited about it? Well, that was the thing here, but I decided to go with it. He could just be really excited, like I said. So we finally go out hiking to start. We plan to hike somewhere and then camp there the night. It's a moderately long trail, kinda off the way of the heavily populated trails. He wanted to be not bothered by other people. Another thing too is that by this point in the hike, all those stories that you read on the internet kinda were getting to me at this point. But other than his excitement, he is completely normal. But I feel paranoid, like we're being watched as we hike. He's actually apparently a huge nature buff, which I didn't know. He was getting all up in the dirt and stuff to take pictures of flowers. Like, picture this 6'3", 200-pound Chief Keef looking guy is right down in the dirt on his stomach, picking flowers and saying, "Damn, this shit is beautiful." His behavior at the time kinda weirded me out, but it was also calm, too. His love for nature was a refreshing change from some other people you hear who are scared of it completely. But he notices that I'm acting a little weird because I'm weirded out. And we're about 4 miles in at this point, and it's starting to get dark. If he were actually planning on killing me, I'd expect it to be now. He stops midway through taking a picture, and he looks at me up and down, and he says, "Man, are you gonna get all weird on me or something? You know we're just supposed to be camping. You're not gonna try to feel me up in my sleep, are you? You're being weird as shit." At this point, there's no way that he could be like a skinwalker or something, so I laugh and explain the situation to him. He laughs and said, "Nah, man, don't worry about anything like that." So we get a fire going and set up our tents. It's pitch black now. My fear returns, not of my friend, but of the environment. The feeling that we're being watched comes back. My friend is pretty oblivious to this. We go to bed. It's so dead quiet all of a sudden. For some reason, I can hear my friend's deep breathing in his sleep in the other tent. As I try to tune in to try and listen for some other noise, and in some odd attempt to calm myself down, the lull of his breathing is broken by distant noises. I sit up, my heart sinks completely. My stomach twists in fear. The way it's moving has a pattern to it. It's definitely not a deer or some sort of animal just aimlessly moving through the brush. It's reminiscent of stalking, lurking, very slow and methodical snaps, like a creature that's simply too large to keep itself completely silent as it plods through the undergrowth. The fire has been dead for hours. There's no light from the moon. It feels like I've got a golf ball in my throat. I begin to worry for my friend. There's no way that I could help him in time, or even help myself for that matter. My thoughts race until it almost feels like time had come to a stop when I hear it. It's breathing, ragged breathing. I can actually hear something breathing in the distance. It's so different from the noises of my friend's rhythmic breaths. It's all I can hear now. I can hear it growing louder or coming closer. I can hear the soft stamp of the footsteps. And then all of a sudden, I hear it try to get into my friend's tent. I then hear the tearing of fabric and my friend stirring awake, and he yells, "Yo, what the F?" And then there's a scream. I can't put into words the kind of scream it was. It was like fear and anger and everything else all at once. And then I can hear 6 sets of footsteps sprint off in some direction. Bushes and twigs rustled about and pushed aside. I tear out of my tent just as my friend is going, "Holy shit, jeez." And then I stand there in silence. After a few seconds I snap out of it and think that I have to find out if my friend's okay. I go into what is left of his tent. The entire front looks to be ripped off, and he's sitting there. He's honestly kind of okay. He's afraid, but he's kind of okay. I help him up. He says, "Did you see that thing?" I said, "No, but I heard it. Are you fine?" And he says, "Yeah, but holy shit, that thing scared me." Given how dark it was, he didn't have a real proper description of it. He said that it felt fleshy, and that it had 6 legs. This would be the part in a lot of stories when they go hunt the thing, or whatever, but we didn't do that. After I calmed him down, and got his version of events again, about the 6 legs, and the weird, fleshy feeling, he said that when it tore into his tent, his first instinct was to kick it. So he must have kicked it and scared it enough that it ran off. We didn't hear anything else that night. After a while, the forest noises came back. The bugs and the birds seemed to take their cue that whatever this was is gone. We didn't hear any more rustling or didn't see anything the rest of the night. Of course, we didn't sleep that well either, but that experience, I think, made us closer. We're best friends now. And again, neither of us have any idea what it was, but I'll say this. I'm never going camping without him, because I need someone who is able to kick something in the face and make it run off. So, what'd you think of those? Let me know which one was your favorite one down in the comments. Do you have one of your own? I have an email in the description below that you can send them to if you'd like to. And if you sent one in and it hasn't been in a video yet, it will be, don't worry. I also have a PayPal and a Patreon there as well if you would like to donate to the channel, but no pressure. Just watching the video and liking the video and commenting is great too. So, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, then like I said just a second ago, feel free to like and subscribe, to comment if you want to, and I'll put a couple videos up here, and if you've seen them before, maybe you want to watch them again, or if you're new to the channel, maybe you want to tune in. There's enough stumps here for everybody. But, with that, I'll keep you no longer. Thank you for pulling up a stump. I hope you enjoyed the video, and make sure to follow the 3 H's of the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.